Hey, Sonic Scholar, you know what time is it?
It's time to listen to the Sonic Scholar mini podcast series, The Art of Sounds in Learning.
Welcome to our first episode titled Music and the Beat, where we will talk about the introduction to sounds and audio design in educational settings. In this episode, our objectives are one, to educate you, our listeners, about the brief history of sounds, and second is to let you understand what is sound pedagogy and everything in between. Ready na ba kayo?
Ako, ready na ako, so let's get it started!
Let's go! Hey, I'm Joey.
And I'm Art. We will be your hosts for this episode titled Music and the Beat. Get cozy, maybe grab a drink, grab some pen and paper, and jot down notes because this may be helpful for you as we get along the succeeding episodes.
Agree ako dyan, Art. Kaya buckle up and let's blast to the past as we learn about the history of sounds.
When you think about using sounds in learning, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Audiobooks, radio broadcasted lectures, or maybe this podcast that you're listening to right now. Just any sort of technological application of audio, right? But maybe sounds in learning can be traced back to something as simple as just the act of talking or explaining something verbally within a classroom setting. Now, back in 334 BC, it was actually Aristotle who first proposed the idea that learners have different tendencies and skills that they excel at, and this would affect how they process and absorb information, especially in a traditional classroom setting. In a traditional setting like that, of course, some learners may effectively absorb lessons through visual cues, diagrams, or pictures. Others may feel more comfortable with a kinesthetic style, learning through motion and tactile, hands on experiences. But very commonly, learners also retain information through hearing and speaking. This is what we call the auditory style of learning, learning through sound. But how do we get to this point anyway, from learning in a classroom to learning through a podcast? Turns out, learning through audio technology is almost as old as audio technology itself. When Thomas Edison invented the phonograph in 1877, back when we only had wax cylinders capturing sound vibrations, one of the first predicted uses by the inventor himself was for educational purposes. The ability to play back spoken word recordings means you can access information relayed by tongue at any time. And that basically allows the learner and educator to talk to each other without having to be in the same room at all. This concept further developed in 1899 when Guglielmo Marconi invented the radio for the express purpose of disseminating information. And it did not take long for its potential as an educational tool to be fully realized. The radio paved the way for remote learning, broadcasting the gift of knowledge across countries, vast oceans, like Prometheus bringing humanity the gift of fire. The barrier to learning that is physical distance has been broken down.
Wow, that's really interesting to know how sound evolved and the first technologies of sound. Now, let's travel back to the present time where modern technology has greatly impacted our lives. We see that technology in the 21st century has reshaped the way people communicate, learn, work, and entertain themselves.
Agree ako dyan. As technologies get better, from wax to vinyl to tape to CDs and finally MP3s that you can download and stream anywhere, audio learning only gets better through time.
Correct. And because of technological advancement, especially the improved sound systems and equipment, it enabled the production of better music. It has provided a new learning experience for students in such a way it has allowed students to utilize it to help them focus or to keep them motivated in doing school requirements. Speech and music, which both consist of richly harmonic tones from 25 millisecond to 500 millisecond, long are sounds people want to hear in a performance space. These segments are interspersed with bursts of broadband high frequency energy. Sound has its own technicalities, which should be balanced when producing music. Sound flows through all media at a constant speed, which determines the medium's characteristics like density and modulus of bending compression. Now, let's jump in understanding what clarity is. In sound quality studies, the term clarity refers to the auditory image that has a recognizable resolution or how precisely the intricacies of sound may be detected. In simple terms, clarity means being able to hear all of the small details of the song, like every parts of it are played well together. Like every small detail of the song, you get to hear it.
That's interesting. Now, I've read somewhere that clarity could be measured, but how exactly do we do that?
Okay, I got you there. So, relying on someone else's opinion shouldn't be the basis on how to measure a clarity. So, to measure how clear a sound is objectively, the measurement is called the clarity index, with the use of value of the clarity index, CAT. It's a special tool that will tell the listener how clear a sound is from start to finish.
Huh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know something like music can actually be measured scientifically.
Mm-hmm. And that leads to the discussion of frequency. Frequency is the number of times the waveform repeats per second, while the pitch of the note is determined by the frequency of the waveform. Moreover, in scientific terminology, cycles per second are also referred to as Hertz. Hence, the higher the frequency, the higher the pitch is produced.
Now, fun fact, do you ever notice how an ambulance siren seems to change in pitch whenever they pass you by? This is exactly why. As mentioned by Joey, the higher the frequency or vibrations per second, the higher the pitch. The fewer vibrations, the lower the pitch. When an ambulance approaches you, the airwaves get pushed together by the speed of the ambulance, and the number of vibrations per second that reach your ears steadily go up. This makes the siren sound louder and higher in pitch. Once the ambulance passes you by, the airwaves get pushed further apart and the number of vibrations per second go down. This makes the siren sound quieter and lower in pitch.
That's really cool and fun fact you got there, Art. With that, the integration of sound in the educational setting helps in developing our cognitive skills. You know, TBH, there's so much music technicalities we're learning here.
Tama ka dyan. So, to test how much you've listened to our first episode, let's play Not Two Truths and One Lie, Two Lies and One Truth. Ready na ba kayo?
Feel ko ready na sila.
Alright, listen closely to our three facts. Can you guess which are the lies and which one is the truth? The inventor of radio is Thomas Edison. The special tool in measuring clarity is the Clarity Index CAT. Speech and music, which both consist of richly harmonic tones from 25 seconds to 600 seconds long, are the sounds people want to hear in a performance space.
O ayan, nakinig ba kayo? So please type your answers in the comment section below and let's see who actively listened to this episode.
Thank you for tuning in our first episode from our mini podcast series entitled Sonic Scholar, The Art of Sounds in Learning. We hope that you learned a thing or two and that you may apply all your learnings to your day-to-day lives.
Keep listening
Keep learning.
and keep discovering sound and music for your minds and souls. See you in the next Sonic Adventure, everyone. Bye!
Bye!